Hey everyone. You know, I was planning to do this earlier, but I kind of took a nap for a while because, you know, we had quite a week, and you can watch the videos that kind of say that, or mention that here on my channel. But I'll tell you, you know, in the video that you see before this, it was filmed, that video was filmed yesterday, so it's a little old, but still I have a point there. Now, the video I'm here to talk about right now, or the subject I should say, is about Hardcore Justice, which took place last night. And I did watch it. I downloaded it courtesy of hotfile.com, where you could download gigabytes, if you will, or the whole show, if you will, without having to do two separate parts or have a premium account. But I downloaded it, and I have to say I watched it, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I know some people, like I've mentioned in the previous video, kind of complained about the fact that it wasn't done well, and, you know, some of the wrestlers were out of shape, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it really had a bit of a nostalgic feel. I mean, I want you to notice a few things. Yes, the microphones and everything still had TNA on them. Okay, we know that. But TNA did a pretty good job hiding its logos. I mean, when you look at the Hard Justice logo, if you will, and it says TNA Wrestling on the top of it, the TNA Wrestling deal was kind of darkened out, if you will. It was darkened out to the point that it almost said Hardcore Justice. And that's mainly what it said all over the place, Hardcore Justice. No TNA, no nothing. Now, I have to say, it also, like I said, it had a nostalgic feel. I mean, instead of having the bright lights and everything we're used to seeing on a TNA pay-per-view or whatever, we had more of a darker, kind of a blue hue kind of like feel. Now, I know what you're thinking, blue hue, what do you mean? Well, for some of you that watched it, here's what it was. It wasn't like One Night Stand, where it was in the Hammerstein Ballroom and all that, no, and it was all bright lights and everything. No, instead it was very dark. It was kind of like when WWE first resurrected ECW, and they kind of darkened the arena and just focused around on the ring. You know, made it feel more campy, more original. And that's sort of what like this was. It was sort of more original, if you will. It was a darker kind of feeling, kind of giving it more of a nostalgic feeling. And that was, like I said, that was pretty impressive. That was, again, like I said, that was pretty impressive. And the matches were pretty good. You know, some of the matches were pretty good too. Now, I know some people have questions as to why certain things happened. Well, I'll kind of give you an idea. You see, if you followed ECW, and I'm sure a lot of people have, but for some of you that have heard about ECW but don't know why certain things took place last night, here's what happened. The dance-off that we had in the opening match, if you will, is kind of reminiscing of what Tracy Smothers used to do in the ECW as well. So that's why we had it. I mean, there was a lot of things last night that were pretty good. You know, some nostalgic feelings and all that. That's what it was. It was a nostalgic feeling and a chance for the wrestlers and the men and women, if you will, to go out the way they wanted. I mean, because come on, don't you think? Because come on, let's face facts. People say Tommy Dreamer booked One Night Stand. Yeah, he booked it, but did he really have any idea of what kind of matches were going to take place? Not really. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The match that we had at the first One Night Stand, like for example, we had that three-way dance between Super Crazy, Tajiri, and Little Guido. You know, we had those matches. We had that match, and that was because that was done like towards the end of ECW. That's why they did it. Fans wanted to see the team-up of the FBI, the original FBI, if you will. And that's what they got. And that's what they got. That's mainly what you got in the first match. Now, another thing I liked about this is TNA even reached out and said, we want Too Cold Scorpio on here, and we want C.W. Anderson up here, and we want them to compete against each other. WWE didn't do that. Yeah, they invited CW. They didn't let him compete until about a year or so later on the ECW on Sci-Fi program, and I think that was for 1 or 2 matches. But here, he faced Too Cold Scorpio. And Too Cold, who had been in negotiations with World Wrestling Entertainment, never really had the opportunity to go to One Night Stand and perform. He never had that opportunity. Basically, overall, the matches had a good feel to them. I mean, honestly, they did. Stevie Richards against Just Incredible, that was pretty good in its own right. What else did we have last night? God, I can't even remember. I gotta look it up. Let me see here. Because I know there were many matches. Many. But, again, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. And, you know, I know some people may say, well, let me check here. Well, the thing is, it was pretty good. And then we had a tag team match between Balls Mahoney teaming with Axel Rotten against the Dudleys, or Team 3D. Now, I will address something in a little bit that really bothered me about this paper. Bothered me about this pay-per-view, and I'll get into that in a minute. Now, the other matches that we had, we did have a 3-way dance elimination style between Brother Runt, Spike, Al Snow, and Rhino, and it was pretty cool, pretty entertaining. Both Spike and Al did sort of similar to what Eddie Guerrero did. They kind of banged the chair on the mat and then lie down like someone hit them, and the ref's like, you know, what happened here? No one knew. It was pretty good. Rhino ended up winning it. And then we got into, I think, we got into the tag team match I was just talking about, Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten against Team 3D. Now, this match was entertaining. I mean, Bubba Ray just came out and said, look, these fans know us, the fans watching at home know us, the fans watching in Philadelphia especially know us, and they're going to expect a regular wrestling match. Or wrestling tag team match, they're going to expect a brawl, a fight. And that's what we got. All over the place, and we got the flaming tables as well. Team 3D wins it. And Joe Gertner was there too, so that was pretty cool. They allowed him to come out and be with the Dudleys, unlike One Night Stand, where he was in the balcony begging for a job from Eric Bischoff. They allowed him to be himself and allowed him to say what he wanted to say. So that was pretty cool. I mean, he said something about Lady Gaga and something that she's, I guess, strong about. And he says, if she doesn't let me lick her you-know-what, then I'll poke her face. Something like that. And people just like erupted. And Taz was like, good night, everybody. You know, it was pretty funny. But yeah, it was a good match. It was a good brawl, if you will. And they did win with the flaming tables. And of course, it was Balls Mahoney going through. And that was pretty good. Then we had the Gangsters come out, do a beatdown on the Dudleys, like fans were used to seeing. And now we come to the point where they kind of embraced and hugged each other and all that afterwards. And mainly what that means is they were showing the Gangsters came out to show the fans, along with the Dudleys and Rotten and Mahoney, exactly what was done, how things went in the original ECW. I mean, even to the point that they kept the music playing, just like they did back then every time the Gangsters came out. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. That was definitely ECW. And then we had the final showdown between Raven and Tommy Dreamer. And I have to tell you, this was very intense. This was very extreme. I mean, Raven busted Tommy up earlier in the match. busting him open. He was bleeding profusely. Then Raven got busted open. I mean, everything came out of nowhere. You had stop signs that said dead end on it. You had ladder come out. You had chairs. You had, I guess, Sick Boy coming out, or Lupus coming out, if you will. You had the Blue Tilly. You had Nova. I mean, everybody. I mean, it was just an unbelievable match. Hardcore and everything. Very, very good. Basically, it's what Tommy Dreamer wanted to do, and even to the point that Tommy, he was handcuffed like this. He was handcuffed like this by Raven, and he was able to grab Raven with this arm right here, and just go back with the DDT, and that was innovative. I was like, I'd never seen anything like that. But it was a great match. Raven does win, even though Teresa, or Beulah, if you will, tried to stop him from beating down on Tommy, and even I think tried to convince him that she would go with him, but that didn't work. And then she low blows Raven, that didn't work. But overall, it was a good match. Mick Foley brought out Psycho, put barbed wire on him, and it was. Oh, and that was a good spot right there. I mean, Tommy brought out this barbed wire, this little piece of barbed wire, and did a crossface on Raven, and the barbed wire is like right here on his mouth, going right into his mouth. That was sick right there. But it was a pretty good match, and again, like I said, Raven did win. Then we had, oh yeah, and one more thing. They actually removed Raven's family from ringside during this match. I mean, everybody was questioning, even Taz, why were they even there in the first place? So, but they got him out of the way, and that was pretty cool. Then we had the, excuse me for a second. Oh, there it is. Just looking at the time from the reflection there. But then we had the main event between Rob Van Dam and Sabu. Now, originally it was supposed to be Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn. That did not happen because Jerry sustained a back injury. But it was a great match. It was a great match. Everything just went. I mean, the refs just let them go all out because that's what we're used to seeing between these two. I mean, you saw Sabu go into the stands, go into the front row, onto RVD. You saw them both thinking almost the same things, chairs, tables, you name it. It was a great, phenomenal 17-minute match. Really, really great. Really unbelievable. I mean, some of the things they did. I mean, Van Dam broke out the damn Van Assassinator out of nowhere. We hadn't seen that in a while. Sabu did a spinning tornado DDT. We hadn't seen that from him for a while. So they just went all out. Alfonso tried to kind of like be on the side of both men, threw in chairs to RVD to use, to Sabu to use, you know, things like that. So it was pretty good match. And yeah, they did have a water break. I admit people don't like that, but that's how Alfonso was. That's how Fonzie was. He would always, I guess, give his guys water breaks. They say, time out, I need a water break. You know, so. You know that. So, but overall, it was a great match. RVD does win, and then everybody comes down to ringside. Even Mike Tenay came down to ringside, had a beer. Tommy Dreamer thanked everybody, said that this was one effing pay-per-view, basically saying that this was what it was all about. This is the way we should have gone out. And again, it was pretty cool. Dixie Carter even had a beer, so you know, overall it was great. It was really, really great. And you know, some of the things I didn't like about it, though, as I check my time here again, some of the things I didn't like about it, though, was the name changes. I mean, just because, I mean, Mike Tenay said ECW in Extreme Championship Wrestling many times about once or twice during that night. Then they kind of had to bleep it out. Then they kind of said the other promotion, if you will. And then some of the other things, especially with the wrestlers, they had to change the names around. Like Balls Mahoney, they called him Cojones. And then Little Guido was known as Little Monotano. And Tony Mamaluke was Tony Luke. I mean, what was the deal? Honestly, what was the deal on that? Well, I'll tell you what the deal was. It was legal actions. They had to do something. But again, I didn't like that. I'm thinking, these guys are known by, I mean, even PJ Polanco, just incredible. And Team 3D. Well, we know about Team 3D, but PJ had to have his name changed. And I'll be back in a little bit.